guys ever use damp grid? I just never heard of it until just the other day. I wish I would.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, we are live and ready.
Okay, sounds good. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. It's the meeting of the Seldovia City Council, Monday, June 8th, 2026. Time is 6:03 p.m. We'll go ahead and do roll call. Keithley.
Here.
Langbart.
Here.
Coleman.
Here.
Taylor.
Here.
Peyton.
Here.
And Barber.
Here.
Okay, everyone is in attendance. We have a full quorum in the house tonight. All right, Heidi or Liz, if you could lead us off on the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wow. My first name's Jack too, not Ann.
Okay, thank you.
But that Ann Barber up there, but that's okay.
It does what it's supposed to be.
All right, let's see. No excused absences. It'll take us down to item D, agenda approval. We'll look for a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve tonight's agenda by Langbart, second by Taylor. Any further discussion before we vote? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the approval of tonight's agenda. All those in favor, Keithley?
Aye.
Langbart?
Aye.
Coleman?
Aye.
Taylor?
Aye.
Peyton?
Aye.
And Barber?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes, 6 in the affirmative, none opposed. That'll take us down to item E, consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are approved with a single motion, no discussion, and one vote. A council member may request to remove any item for discussion and a separate vote. Items removed from the consent agenda will be placed under new business. Tonight's consent agenda consists of item 1, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting from May 11th, 2026. And then there's 2 resolutions on here. Resolution or item 3A, resolution 26-27 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, approving a memorandum of agreement for the purpose of intergovernmental administration of borough and City of Seldovia elections and authorizing the city manager to execute the appropriate documents. Item 3B, Heidi, is there an issue with 3B, or are we going forward, or do we need that removed tonight?
So, Mr. Mayor, there is an issue with one of the paragraphs. The dates are wrong in the 7th paragraph. So it needs an amendment.
Okay. Can we amend that in an introduction, or what's the point of order on that? Would we have to pull it off here and just move it down to the regular agenda, or what's your thoughts on that? I'm not sure. We haven't dealt with that. Or do you need it pulled off?
We would need it pulled off on the consent agenda, put under new business.
Okay, but we can still do it this meeting, is what you're saying?
Yeah,
put
it
down
just
new
needs to be
business?
pulled off the consent agenda.
Okay. Okay, sounds good.
Um,
All
do,
right.
do you need me to? Okay, I move to remove resolution 2628 so we can amend the dates on it.
Okay, sounds good. We will move that down to new business, and that will be item, let's call that, let's see, item, city manager's report is 4, so we'll just make that item 4, and then city manager's report will be item 5.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And that's actually a typo. The city manager's report should be N.
That's
So,
what I was wondering what's
Yeah.
going on here. Something wonky's going on down there.
But yes, item M4 for new business.
Okay, M4. Okay, let's go back to the top. All right, so that's been moved. Making a note of that. Okay, so we have the approval of the minutes and we have the resolution 26-27. Does anyone else wish to remove any other item at this time? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and I'll look for a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry. I think I'm supposed to abstain from this vote because of a conflict of interest as an employee of the CIRSA.
Not this one.
No, not this one. I think yours.
Oh,
will
no,
be
this is
down.
Heidi's thing. Yeah, sorry.
Yep.
Fine,
So
sorry.
you're still good. All right.
And I'll
So-
second that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve, and then we have a second by Taylor to approve tonight's consent agenda. Any further discussion on the consent agenda before we vote? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the approval of tonight's consent agenda with just the one item for the minutes and then the single resolution, item 3A. All those in favor, Keith Lee,
Aye.
Langbart,
Aye.
Coleman,
Aye.
Taylor,
Aye.
Peyton,
Aye.
and Barber.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes with 6 in the affirmative, none opposed. All right, that'll take us down to item F, mayoral proclamations, none. Item G, public presentation, prior notice. Looks like we don't have anybody tonight for prior notice. And then item H, public presentation for items not on the agenda. Do we have anyone signed up tonight, Meg?
We have
Or,
nobody
excuse me,
signed up
Liz.
tonight, and I'm not seeing anybody online or in the room.
Okay. Okay, that'll take us down to item I, committee and advisory board reports. And we've got a couple of them. The first one will be the finance report, and that's going to be on page 33 of your packet.
For items not on the agenda, at what point do we get to discuss that, or can I make or something I'd like to say? Or introduce or an ordinance or resolution or whatever. I don't know what and when I should ask the council or tell the council what I'm thinking.
So this would be for public presentation of items not on the agenda. For something yourself would be at comments at the end.
Yeah, I'll say my comments to the end.
Okay. Let's see here. So we're on page 33 of the regular packet for the finance report. If anyone's got any questions, just go ahead and chime in. Obviously, we're getting late in our fiscal year, so we should start seeing, which we are seeing most of these funds with both revenues and expenditures starting to max out towards their top end, pushing towards in the between high 70s onto 100, obviously, here by the end of June. Heidi, was there anything that you need to bring up or anything out of the ordinary here on the finance report?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would just add that, while the net effect for all of the funds are positive, except for the dock special revenue fund, there is one more quarterly billing for the dock funds that'll come out at the end of June, that will still impact fiscal year 26. So that should help that account, and we know it's always a close one every year. In fact, in the FY 27 budget, we're projecting it to be negative, and I think we did for FY 26 as well. But it'll be close.
Okay. All right, anybody else have any other questions tonight on the finance report? Okay, we'll move on to the next one. That's gonna be the Harbor Master's report. It was received a little late, so it's gonna be on page 3 of your laydown. Heidi, did you, I noticed on here, there's still had the talked about vehicle cleanup coming soon. Was there any other, additional plans right now, or is that gonna be on hold for here for a little bit?
It's on hold still. We need to make some phone calls this week and finalize a next steps, a new plan.
Okay. Sounds good. Anyone else have any questions on the harbor report?
Not a question, Mr. Mayor, but more just a concern to bring up. The lack of fish carts down on the harbor and fish carts that are actually in usable condition. When we start to get busy here, I'm not sure what we need to do to get some more down there, but there's only, last year it was pretty sparse, but then this year there's only 2 that people can put fish on, I want to say. And one of them, all the tires are flat. And so it could be, just doesn't look real good on us as people are coming into the harbor. And I know we got 2 of our own carts so that we don't have to, worry about using those most of the time because we're coming in and out daily. But it's been quiet so far, but it's already been tough. People are trying to trade and be like, can you take your fish out? I need that one of 2 carts. And I know that fund is that's one of our funds that's doing well. And that's something that people really appreciate when they come over, is having the carts that are usable and in good shape over here. And right now we're not displaying that.
Yeah, that would be good. Heidi, could you follow up with the harbor master on that and find out if she's got any plans or what we could do before get that one fixed, and then if maybe she's got plans to add an additional cart or 2 for the summer?
Will do, Mr. Mayor. I know I did see Stan working on one, so I'm not sure if that's one that's already in service or one that he's working on to put back in service. I've seen a couple where people have been driving them uptown to drop off baggage at hotels or propane tanks at the fuel station.
Yeah, we're like,
stop that as well.
Yeah, and I know there's 2 that you can't put fish on that are down there that are like flat open ones. And then I think there's just been those 2 and then 2 that you could put fish on. And if we can't get Mike to make any, new ones right now, we could always, the black plastic carts are what we got, and they work really well. And we just put like a sticker decal on it, and we could still do that for like City of Seldovia or something. I mean, the metal ones are really nice, but I can't remember what they cost, but I want to say they're under $100 maybe, or around $100.
Through the mayor, we will look into that. Thank you.
Yeah, the two-wheel Rubbermaid ones too, that are the tip carts. Those
Yeah.
are what everybody used for years in sewer, and
Yeah.
those seem to be super popular, and they hold up pretty darn good.
Yeah.
And they're a lot lighter than those heavy
Uh-huh.
metal
Yeah.
ones, you
Yeah,
know.
and they're probably up to 250 now. You used to be able to get them for 150, but I think they're up to probably
Okay.
250 now.
I'd recommend that we put some really big decals on the side that say, please keep on at the
Mhm.
harbor, you
In a
know.
Brinkerhoff red.
Yeah, cities, yeah, because shame them a little bit if they try to take it down the street.
All right. Yeah, if there's no more questions on the harbor master report, the third one, it says public works, but I think it's limited to water treatment plant, and that's going to be actually on page 5 of your laydown.
So, Mr. Mayor,
Or is
there
that in
is
addition?
it's in addition to the Public Works report in the regular packet.
Okay. Yep, I missed that.
Public Works report is in the regular packet on page 37, and then there is additionally a water treatment plant report in the latest.
On page 5 of your laydown, correct.
Mm. 37.
And Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind me pointing out on that water treatment plant report, you'll see that we are distributing an average daily consumption rate of 125,000 gallons a day, which is very high for our system. So we've had 3 different instances in the last month and a half of our well representatives coming down to do leak detection. It hasn't been super successful. I am planning on asking that we put out a notice this week that if people are noticing or have any suspicions, I will word it nicer than that, but please let us know if you suspect that you have a water leak or have ideas of where a water leak is, because we definitely need to get this under wraps.
Yeah, we're definitely got some leakage going on somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions on the public works report or the water treatment plant report?
I have a question.
Sure.
I've noticed some of the key boxes are above ground with nothing, like mine was buried in a wood box and was very difficult to get to, and it's been there forever. But then I saw the neighbor out here on Anderson that had his is above the ground. Is that not freeze? Is that a newer one? Is that something we're changing, or is his always been above ground and I never saw it? Because his key box just stands about that tall off the ground. And I thought, well, what if it froze? The whole idea, I mean, ours was insulated and everything, but just a question. I was curious. Are we doing something different? Can I leave mine exposed, or is it gonna freeze?
Through the mayor, I would have to look into that further. I'm not quite picturing what you're discussing. Let's talk
Yeah,
later and maybe I
okay.
can take a look at it. We
Yeah,
are,
I think she's talking about the valve, the round, it's just the
Just the
valve
key
stem.
box.
It's just, yeah, it's the
Yeah.
key box. It's
Yeah.
just the
Turns
stem
to
up
water.
there. So
yeah,
there's nothing to freeze up there, that you put the tool on there and it just goes down into the ground, way
So
down the valve.
Yeah.
yeah.
just
So the
turns
thing about the
valve.
key backs is we are working with Mr. Mayor and Council Member Keithley on a water and sewer ordinance update. And we are looking at the responsibility of that key box. Internally, we have shifted our policy where we are maintaining key boxes for people now, which is not something that we've done for the past many years. But in fairness of the fact that if you're not allowed to touch or work your key box, then we're responsible for that. We are ensuring we're taking care of it. We replaced one just this last week in a different neighborhood, and then of course one last year. So that is something that we are working on bringing to you guys and making sure that that's very clear. But that is it also interesting to hear that it's so high above ground because, for instance, if you damage your key box, you're responsible for replacing it. But if it's damaged, you know, from just corrosion and over time, then we'll replace it. But having it exposed that high, it seems like that could create an issue.
Yeah, it's right on the side of his driveway. And you know where it is. It's next to Mike the welder, just past him going towards Jeff.
We'll have to look.
Yeah, I noticed that the other day. I thought, wow, are they supposed to be like that? Should I put mine like that? No.
It depends on your risk.
Right. I don't want the snowplow to drive it over. That's pretty close to the road. Okay.
I would think with as many frozen water lines that there's services, the possibility to move water out of some of it.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, we know we're losing water.
Yeah.
We're just trying to figure out where.
That's set up. You have that capability.
We do, and we've had 3 full weeks of that in the last 5 weeks. And we haven't pinpointed anything yet.
Blocks and listen to it to see if there's water running.
I'm not sure where I would have to double check where they looked. I know they've been all over the community. They just haven't found it yet.
Probably somewhere where it's not perking.
Right. I know Riley was over by our house doing it the other day.
All right, let's see. So if there's no other questions on Public Works or water treatment plant, we'll move on down to item K, public hearings. First one's going to be ordinance 26-14A, a non-code ordinance of the city of Seldovia, Alaska, accepting FY 2027 fee schedule, Appendix A of the fiscal year 2027 budget. So it was introduced back on May 11th, 2026, and the city manager will give us an overview of where we're at.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So as stated, this is in your packet, starting on page 39. Fairly small changes this year. There is a 1.5% CPI increase to keep up with inflation for some of the user fees. And then we had a request from the Arts Council and slash the Chamber of Commerce last week that we consider offering or waiving camp fees for vendors and vendors and performers for city sponsored events. And so that you can see in the lay down on page
7 and 8.
7. Yep. And then page 8, we did attempt to put in an amendment to show what that would look like if the council does want to entertain that. And hoping for your feedback on that and anything else related to fee schedule. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All right, so we went through this a few times during, or at least once, during the budget workshops. And so on the letter, I read the letter from Susie on behalf of the Arts Council requesting camping fees be waived. And Heidi for the vendors during some of the performances and for city sponsored special events. And that language is on page 12. I'm okay. I mean, you guys should chime in on what you think. I mean, I don't really have too much heartburn on that. It's probably a few folks at a time, obviously, that come over. I don't know how, what the utilization rate is on that for camping at either outside beach or up at the RV park, but obviously if that was the deal breaker, or if, I don't know necessarily how much it is, but I know it all adds up when you start adding in all the fees and everything. And obviously the $15 that's lost on camping fees, made up on other stuff. I mean, we usually seem to have a pretty good turnout for most of our events here in town. So I think that comes back to us in spades on sales tax and other things, and just additional revenues for businesses. So I'd be in support of it if there's enough support on council.
I agree with the mayor. I think that the benefit definitely outweighs the small fee that we'd be losing for a camping site. And, due to the fact that it is always difficult to find housing and encourage, musicians and vendors to come over here. I think I think it makes sense to me.
Well, don't the vendors pay a city fee for having their vending?
Through the mayor, it depends on the event. So like the solstice, they vend through the Arts Council for Solstice Festival. For 4th of July, they pay a vending fee to vend on city property for the 4th.
On the solstice, I think most of the tourists, or not tourists, but most of the people coming are out from other areas. So that's one event that's going to drop tremendously for the city, is the camping and the housing, because they're all from somewhere else. They're all coming here for that weekend. So how much would the city be losing with, what, say 300 people that come over here for that?
Maybe
Just musicians.
I
Musicians.
I believe it was just the musicians. I think, that's what it was aimed at, is because we
Yeah,
couldn't
just the
afford enough.
vendors.
Yeah, it's just for the vendors and right. Because it's hard to find, enough housing for every guitar player and soloist but I think that it was just the artists themselves, is my understanding.
Through the mayor, yeah.
If I may,
Oh, sorry.
if I may, as a chamber and an art council board member, I didn't realize they had asked for this. This is great. But I can speak to that, and you're correct, Amon. It would be for those who are a vendor or an artist for a festival or an event. And I think for like the Solstice Festival, that probably goes to outside of our headliners, we tend to get the other artists are not paid to come over. We just cover their housing and their meals and get them over here. And so there's a lot of them that might be in Homer or Anchorage that it's easier if we're like, they really want to come. And sometimes like right now, we can't even find housing. And if they're willing to camp, that might even open up housing. So now we've got double the people that are able to come for that.
So you're covering certain amount of entertainment. Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
so
Actually,
for the Art Council, for instance, on the Solstice Festival, we have 2 headliners every year, and those we pay for their travel and their stay, and we pay them. The rest of the musicians, which sometimes have been upwards of 10 to 12 other, not just musicians, but bands and musicians, we have to find housing for them and get the transportation over. And so that will save the Art Council money for those who'd be willing to camp, but it would also open up the potential to still have more space for people to come over and enjoy the event on that weekend. Because also as somebody who has a B&B and a charter business, I can say that like that's a weekend that fills up real quick. So that's a good way to funnel some of those artists that don't care, that think it's cool to go pitch a tent at the beach and they don't have to pay anything for it, and we'll feed them and we'll put them on a water taxi to get here.
And I totally think that's a good idea. How do you separate from the musicians and all the other people that are gonna be staying at the RV camping and?
So we handle their travel, and so we find out how many people, as far as when we have the musicians, because we do include if they have, depending on their family dynamic, because sometimes we'll have like a family that has like two small children that need to come with them and their husband or something, and we house, all of them. So it would be that just whoever is that unit for the band, the band, or if they have like a specific sound person, but it's not like their groupies coming over.
Like the 15 friends.
Exactly. Yep. Yep.
That's just my concern. I think that, it's such a huge weekend. Especially for the RV park and the campground and, all the other businesses in town. That, that's a large amount of people coming through. How you gonna know who's playing, who's not, who's paying, who's not? So if the Arts Council is going to monitoring that, I wouldn't have that, but.
I'm assuming when we go to collect our fees, I mean, we're assuming that everyone's paying unless there's, a special exemption, which in this case, this would be, and then that would have to be coordinated through, through the Arts Council, either providing a list of names or, whatever it may be to the city office. So.
Be helpful. So we already have and camping is.
Who is that though? You guys, whoever was just speaking broke up pretty bad. Yeah, you're freezing and I'm not getting anything. We can just barely hear just a little bit of background garble.
Trying a different mic. Is that better?
There we go. Loud and clear. I don't know why those mics do that, but yeah, that you're loud and clear now.
Interesting. So I was saying we already internally have a policy that the RV park and outside beach are first come, first serve with no reservations. So we could add that language under this note, and then the onus is on the Arts Council or the chamber to make those arrangements with the city, and then if they want to, or something, they're doing that. But otherwise, it's first come, first serve.
Okay. Anybody else got any thoughts on that?
Well, I do appreciate the comment from Ashley that it would also be freeing up, our kind of limited hotel and bed and breakfast, or I'm sorry, Airbnb spots, because, if they're going to be out at the campground, that's, in my opinion, I think that would be just another bonus. That there'd be more space available, more comfortable luxury space available for people who want to attend the festivals.
Is there anything the school could offer for the empty classrooms or anything to set up temporary?
I believe,
That's a no.
I believe there would be an MOA and
That has to happen like way in advance. That's not something that we can do short term.
What about Cook Inlet Housing, the Seldovia House? I know they had 4 vacancies over there. Is that something they'd consider during these events?
Yeah, something we can suggest that the chamber and the Arts Council look into.
And they're sitting empty. I mean, it might be worth talking to them.
I suspect it'd be hard pressed to get much out of them with wanting short-termers in there, but it'd be worth a conversation.
I know the only reason I say that is because we just got Bev X into, and I think there was 4 vacancies there, so I don't know how long that'll last, but even if it's 1 vacancy, and make it available to somebody possibly.
And then, Mr. Mayor, when you guys are ready to move on from the amendment, I did forget to mention that the significant change, or substantial change in the fee schedules on page 43 of your regular packet, and that's the Jack Loft Bay Dock parking fees as discussed.
Let's go. Can we just recap those real quick?
Yep, so that includes a vehicle pass for up to 3 consecutive days where that will be free for people to park. Then there's a $5 daily rate beyond that, a monthly pass of $30 a month, and then an annual pass of $100 a calendar year. We are requesting that vehicles must be fully operational, registered and maintained, and must move every 30 days. So that's that second bullet point, to ensure that vehicles are moving, as well as that boat, trailer, and parking is free up to 3 consecutive days, but parking is limited to 30 days. So there is no annual available for boat trailer parking. There is a free daily, and then it automatically goes into a $3.55 per foot for the month for that trailer. We also specified that the boat launch and haul out is free. However, the city does not launch or haul out boats at Jack Loft, so we're talking about individual. And then you'll see that last bullet point at the top says there's no fee for individuals to launch or haul out vessels from the Jack Loft Bay Dock lot for FY 27. And then lastly, there are camping rates included, same as in town, $15 per night for RV and $10 per night for tent camping. And making sure that that maximum duration is of 14 days per our code is also listed below camping.
Okay, great. Yeah, and I know we debated this quite a bit, and I think this is what we settled on. So, and we'll see how it goes once we get it, up and going the first season. And if it's, if it's not, if it works great, then, or if we need to make some tweaks, then we come back and we can tweak it again before next season. So, all right, thanks for the recap on that. All right. So if there's no other comments on the fee schedule, then going back to the laydown on page 12 on that amended language, if someone would like to make a motion to offer up that amendment for ordinance 26-14, that would be great. And then we can vote it up or down and get moving here.
I make a motion to amend 26-14.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Taylor to amend ordinance 26-14 with the additional highlighted language on page 12 of our laydown. That specifically says, please note, RV and camping fees may be waived by the city manager or their designee for performers or vendors for city-sponsored special events. And that was seconded by Langbard. All right, any further discussion on the amendment before we vote? Hearing none, all those in favor of the amendment for ordinance 26-14? All those in favor, Keith Lee?
Aye.
Langbart?
Aye.
Coleman?
Aye.
Taylor?
Aye.
Payton?
Aye.
And Barber.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes with, the amendment passes with 6 in the affirmative. That'll take us to the main motion that has now been amended. And is there any further discussion on the main motion as amended? Okay, hearing none, then we'll look for a motion to approve ordinance 26-14 as amended.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve 26-14 as amended.
Okay, do we have a second?
I
I'll-
second,
Go ahead.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Langbart to approve ordinance 26-14 as amended, second by Coleman. With no further discussion, we'll go ahead and vote on ordinance 26-14 as amended. All those in favor, Keithley,
Aye.
Langbart,
Aye.
Coleman,
Aye.
Taylor,
Aye.
Peyton,
Aye.
and Barber.
Aye.
All right, ordinance 26-14 is passed with 6 in the affirmative, none opposed. And that was the amended version of ordinance 26-14. That'll take us on to item K2. And let's see here. K2 is ordinance 26-14B, which is a non-code ordinance to the city of Seldovia, Alaska, appropriating funds, Appendix B, for the annual budget for fiscal year ending June 2027. And let's see, June 30th, 2027. This was introduced also on May 11th, 2026. And Heidi, if you could give us the overview on that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the budget ordinance is on page 56 of your packet. And I want to point out a significant change in this budget ordinance compared to previous years. Well, there's a few. One is that this budget includes the breakout and budget overview pages for the investment fund, the the investment fund, the reserve funds, and the capital improvement funds. So you'll see that while we have a budget for the operating funds, we also have a budget for the state and federal grants projects. And then we have a budget for the transfer between funds, and that's where it impacts the breakout between those different fund types. And wanted to make sure that we're showing the transfers in and the transfers out. And hopefully that is fairly clear when you look at those different pages. Additionally, I would point out another way to hopefully see clearly what's happening is page 64 is the manager's message, where we touch on all of the changes that have occurred in the budget. I want to first start off by saying that this is a balanced budget, and that there is the exception, of course, that we discussed earlier of the dock special revenue fund, but it does include a transfer from their unassigned funds of 6,000. That's just that ending fund balance to cover any potential losses. So it's still budgeted, it still balances out, and this is something that we face every year. We've been fortunate the last couple of years that it does end up coming ahead, though barely, but with our budgeting high and then expecting our revenues low, especially because that fund relies almost completely on the Alaska Marine Highway System service, that there can be a lot of changes really quickly if something happens with that service. So regardless, it is, as I said, a balanced budget. It does take into account the updated and recently adopted comprehensive plan, 2026 city council priorities, the 2026-2031 capital improvement plan, and then council and staff recommendations. Some of those significant citywide budgetary items and trends include that there is now a Seldovia Volunteer Fire and EMS Special Revenue Fund overview page. There was a FY26 was adopted previously in a budget amendment. But this is the first full budget with that special revenue fund included. And that we did break out, like I said, those investment capital reserve and then overview of the state and federal grant special revenue funds. These are something that have been called out in our audit repetitively over the years. And while they're minor accounts, they haven't impacted us negatively. It does help. I can already see the advantages of having them included in the budget for tracking those transfers, as well as tracking revenues that are like interest income that come into those accounts, and just being able to have a clearer picture, hopefully for the public, for you guys, for myself as administration, for staff in general. Overall, for the budget, there is a 1.5% cost of living increase with an optional 1.5% optionals in there twice. Step increase for all non-exempt employees, and 3 full-time public work employees are included. We are actually looking, if this budget passes, to post the position tomorrow. We did hear officially from our part-time public works employee that he intends to be done at the end of August. So hoping to get somebody in here in the next couple of months, and not have too big of a gap in service, and maybe have a little bit of time where they can cross-train. Also new in this budget is the air flight service membership. We anticipated a 10% health insurance increase. And it was right about that. We also anticipated a 10% general liability insurance increase that it turned out to be 11%. I'm still kind of haggling with APRA to see if there are things that we can do to bring that back down. Our reserve targets and cash flow management policy that was adopted by council last month has also greatly informed this policy and this budget, which includes a 1-year revenue reserve target. And you'll see that at the bottom of every fund. And it also includes the transfers from water and sewer unassigned special revenue funds to the major maintenance and repair fund, as the policy recommends. You can see on page 65 some of the one-time expenditures, including equipment purchases, such as like the council chambers computer and maintenance for that, AML grant writing services, the comprehensive zoning review services. You'll see new chains for the loader, the repair and maintenance for snow guards and concrete pad improvements at the water treatment plant, those sewer lift station pumps, which we are going to get taken care of, harbor improvements, backhoe replacement, just trying to really clearly call out the things that are a little bit beyond our daily operations. I mean, chains for the loader, you could say that's a daily operation, but that's not typically an every year expense. So trying to make sure that we are calling that out. The other couple of big things are the raw water transmission line project, which is a little tricky because that's actually closing out this year, but I wanted to make sure that it was shown in this new format and those monies were approved to transfer. There is also the match for the fuel facility roof improvements project, and the match for Jacklock Bay dock replacement project, the motor grader lease payoff, and then the transfer to the vehicle and heavy equipment replacement fund. And that's half of a annual target contribution with the inflation included. Future considerations include appropriations for improvements for the Harbor Gateway kiosks as discussed, as well as potentially for an engineering firm to assist with preliminary assessments and design for projects in the capital improvement plan. Additional funds may also need to be appropriated for water and sewer main repairs from the 2026 and 2027 winter seasons. We're still assessing that. Overall, I just really want to thank you guys for your leadership and sticking with us as we have these long meetings and work sessions and sometimes not the easiest discussions. I think it's really amazing work that you all do. And hopefully this plan reflects what you guys want. If not, absolutely let me know and we can make whatever changes are needed. But overall, I hope that we've met people's needs. And I'll say I really am liking this new format because I was already able to catch where we weren't calling out the matching funds that we needed. So they're all in here and I think it's gonna be a great year. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Heidi. Appreciate that. All right, we'll go move on to council discussion. If anyone has any questions, comments on ordinance 26-14B, and this is our annual budget.
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
I'm not sure that what is the remote seller sales tax? I don't know. I haven't heard of this. Where does that come to play?
Through the mayor, would you like me to
Go
take
ahead.
that?
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, so in 2019, there was an implementation of remote sales tax throughout, I believe, the nation, but certainly in Alaska, our Alaska Municipal League stepped up and formed a commission and to allow us to collect sales tax from entities that are selling products in the community without a building. So think of like your Amazons, Walmart, Target, there's smaller Hulu, Netflix, all of those entities that do not have a physical presence in the community still pay sales tax for their point of delivery being Seldovia. We still budget it separately because we collect it separately, but it's all part of the same sales tax pot. Does that help?
So is that on top of the sales tax that's here? Is that?
It's still sales tax. It's just, we have our physical business sales tax, and then we also have our point of delivery
So if I buy
sales tax.
something, Brett, buy it in aggregate.
No, if you're buying from a physical store, you're paying the sales tax at that store, or like Anchorage, there's no sales tax. So if you're buying something from Soldotna, that point of sale is there. It's a little bit different for the people that are selling through the mail because that instead of going from the point of sale, it's the
Like
point of
push
delivery.
orders and things that qualify as the remote sellers. And so Costco puts a Bush order, cards used to have Bush.
No, it's just the businesses that don't have a physical presence. Costco has a physical presence in the state, so that they don't qualify. Save You More has a physical presence in Homer, so their sales taxes is at their building. It's for the businesses that don't have a physical presence.
Okay, so one other thing, and Mayor, on this parking out at Jackaloff Bay, I think we came up with something like 30 some dollars a month. Is that right? Do you recall?
Yes.
Yeah, that was just in the fee schedule, correct?
Do we know what that fee is? Is it 30 something a month? Is that what?
Yes, so if you look at your packet, we just covered this. It's gonna be, you gotta go
On
back a
page
little bit.
43.
43.
So it's $30 and then $100 a year.
Okay, I'm just gonna make the comment because that's a very modest price. And what I'm afraid it's gonna do is invite people to leave vehicles there. And we're gonna end up with the same thing we have now, cleaning up all the abandoned vehicles. That in today's world, $30 a month or whatever that is not enough money. People could leave something there and then we're up there to take it and haul it out of there and whatever. I think we're opening the door. I mean, $100 per calendar year is,
It's $200 a month. If you're looking at spit, being able to get.
well, here it says $100 per calendar year. I'm just, is that correct?
What is it, March to October, or what was the date on that?
I just don't think it's
April
enough
1st.
money. I'm afraid that
April,
it's gonna
yeah,
attract.
April to September. And the winter is October to March 31st.
Because when it comes to snow removal and things like this, and these cars get left, it just becomes a more of a burden than what we're getting out of it. I think it's just bad business for the city. You know, if I was paying $100 a month, I'd probably be wanting to know what I got parked out there, and then, you know, but it $30 a month or $100 a year, that's cheaper than the garbage dump.
Yeah, I think with the sideboards that we put on there, though, that was the whole, I mean, when we had that discussion, we included sideboards to make sure that we're not going to have a bunch of derelict vehicles like we do now. If they're not moving, we've got the provision, they've got to move monthly. If we start seeing issues, then we'll get ahead of it. And that's what I had just said when we adopted that fee schedule in our previous discussion, which was where that piece was at for the parking out there. We'll give it a try this year and see how it goes once it gets started. And if we have problems, then we'll have to, obviously we'll know about it right away. And if we need to make changes, then we'll make changes when the time comes. So it may work out just fine. It may be problematic. I don't know.
Is there any other source of guidance on how we should charge for something around the state? I mean, is there any other place that you can look and see what kind of fees are collected? I know at airports, and if you go to the Wasilla Airport, you know, they want $10 for the day to park on a ramp or something. In Kenai, same way, they have an envelope. We talked about this. So I don't know, if it just seems to me that $30 a month is an awful modest, or $100 a year especially is an awful modest.
Well, I think people would be more able to pay $30 a month rather than 50. And then you aren't going to have somebody with a balance of $300 that they can't.
So you think 30 is right?
I think it's fair for where they're parking, and if you gouge them, say you're asking $200 a year to park there, I think they're more apt to just leave crap there.
Yep.
For
You
$200
might give
a
the
year.
incentive to move their stuff.
Exactly. I
Yes,
think
with
on a
that fee
30
place.
30-day basis, it would be.
And this is a trial period, so we're going to try it out.
Yeah.
Let's see if it works. See if the people move their vehicle and they don't want to pay those fees. We're
So
gonna
theoretically, I could bring my motorhome out there and park there for $100 a year and live in it.
Through the mayor, you'd have to move it every 30 days. And no, there's
Every 30.
no, you can't live in it, because if it's occupied, there's a rule for camping. It has to be, you move every 14 days and then you're off of the property for 14 days. That's the rule and code.
I don't know anybody that'd want to live down there in the winter.
Harmony, you have a question or comment?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot that my hand was still raised. I guess just reinforcing what Muggs and Jackie were saying, that if you raise right now we're not offering the same amenities that Homer or Kenai or Wasilla airports and docks are offering. Right now we just have a beach that people are landing on. You know, in future, if it's reasonable to raise the price, we can always raise the price. But also, again, to reinforce what they already said, we're raising it for adding a fee that A, has never existed, and B, rising it to its, top most potential for the space. The probability of people not paying it goes up exponentially. And then we have a problem with enforcing that code, which I feel like historically is more of an issue than people just blatantly like. I feel like we need to have better faith in our neighbors. Most of those vehicles have been there for eons, you know, like let's start fresh with a clean slate and hope for the best among our neighbors, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, just
Yeah.
we can't be going forward and charging people everything that we think they're worth and then not being able to back ourselves up because we just can't afford that. And it sets a bad precedent.
Yeah, I think the big thing is we didn't have enforcement before. I mean, now that and I like that comment. We're basically starting fresh, right? Everyone know this is going to be cleaned out, cleaned up, new doc, new policies, and new oversight, you know, mainly. So I think as long as we start off, you know, holding firm and enforcing what needs to happen out there, we'll avoid problems. If it becomes problematic, then we're going to have to change, obviously. So I think the tools are in place for us to be able to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's reasonable. I think it's reasonable.
Anything else, Jack?
I'm not, you know,
We already.
I
passed
just,
it, didn't we?
I see things from a different side, I guess, but you know, if that's what everybody wants, then.
You know, this is basically a trial basis.
General,
And we gotta give it a
I think
chance.
that Jackalope Bay Dock is bad business for the city in general.
That's the
I think
problem.
It's too remote. I think it's gonna take a lot of time to see any revenue from it. I know the need of it, but
Okay.
I don't know. I don't. we're
Doesn't
not
take away the
positioned,
need,
but
Jack. It's still, we need something and it needs to be maintained and
you know,
directed
the
and.
DOT should step up to the plate and,
Well,
in my feeling, but that's okay. I have one other thing I'd like to ask the council. And I don't, you know, we lost Jim Hopkins here. And I'm just wondering if there's a road or avenue or something that we could name after him, if the council would want to consider something like that. He's a big part of this community for several years.
I think we can talk, we need to probably just talk about that, Jack, in a different section. Let's get through this, and then when we get to the end of the meeting here, you can
Okay.
bring that up and we can talk
Yeah.
about that.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
where the heck were we?
All right, any other comments, questions on ordinance 26-14B? Okay, obviously, I'm gonna be in support of ordinance 26-14B. It's our annual appropriation or budget process, and like usual, it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort from the administration and council both. So, and I think what we've got, what the managers presented, is a balanced budget. We are obviously we seem to be in a pretty good financial position year over year where things are improving. So that's nice to see. Our processes are getting a lot better. And I think it's apparent that everyone's doing their job and we're buckling down and making good decisions. So I'll be in support of ordinance 26-14. Harmony?
Yeah, sorry. Heidi, I'm having a hard time getting my stuff to load here. Is this the place to insert my question from our earlier discussion?
Through the mayor, yes, this would be the appropriate time.
Okay. Okay, as I was looking at our upcoming meeting and looking at just as I was looking at numbers overall, it struck me that when we had set aside that money for our police department or the sheriff's department, we'd used some of that for the grader or something, but we still had a balance. I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 38,000 to 42,000. And I was just wanted to put it to the council to consider maybe some sort of cost of living stipend for our staff, or The city manager, when I called her to ask her what she thought or if this was something that was reasonable to present, she mentioned a couple other options, like perhaps putting it towards the 10% or 20% that each employee pays for their health insurance. I don't know. It's expensive to live here. The crew takes on a lot. And if we can reasonably support our staff in this way, I think it's something that we could consider for the upcoming fiscal year. Maybe Heidi could do a better job at articulating my thoughts here.
Through the mayor. Yes, so there was a conversation about how we can support employees and incentivize. I know we've talked about this in the past. Health insurance is one that comes up. Of course, that doesn't touch every employee, but more focuses on the full-time employees who have health insurance. We've talked about sick leave. As Councilmember Payton mentioned, maybe a stipend. She also mentioned if there's a way to help with heating fuel. I don't have any answers at this point, but if that's something that the council wants to explore, I can bring forth some scenarios and we could have a work session in the future and discuss. In general, I would say this budget, if passed tonight, it can always be amended. The fee schedule can always be amended. If there's something that's not working out with jackloft parking or something that's not working out with any component in either of these documents, it is within your guys' purview to absolutely make an amendment. It's not necessarily set in stone, and things can change. But I would suggest if that's something that you guys want to look at for the staff, that we definitely do some research and have a work session or two and really talk about what that looks like.
So sorry, I'm just gonna dovetail off what you said there. Obviously, I do not have any of this information to present to you guys, but I just thought since the staff has done such a beautiful job in putting this packet together, we've gone through the process together, and we see all these numbers as we close out this fiscal year and enter into the new one, it seemed like an opportune time to think about discussing this in the near future for the upcoming fiscal year. So anyways, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Harmony. Yeah, I think after we get this budget approved, that's definitely something that in the future we can talk about. Obviously, when we get this late in the game, if we're going to do stuff like this, we want to try to do it earlier in the budget process, which would be starting about January. So in the second half of the year, as we move into getting a budget finalized, so that we're
Sorry.
yeah. So that we're not tweaking anything at the very end. So, but no, we can definitely talk about that here in the near future. Okay, anyone else on ordinance 26-14? All right, we'll go to public. Liz, anyone from the public, either online or in the building?
I am not seeing anyone, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we'll go ahead and bring ordinance 26-14B back to council for final action. And at that time, I would look for a motion to approve ordinance 26-14.
I'll motion to approve ordinance 46-B. 26-14B.
I
Okay.
second that.
All right, we have a motion by Payton to approve ordinance 26-14B with a second by Coleman, I believe.
Yeah.
Any further discussion on ordinance 26-14B before we vote? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approval of ordinance 26-14B, Keithley,
Aye.
Langvart,
Aye.
Coleman,
Aye.
Taylor,
Aye.
Payton,
I
and Barber.
Uh,
Okay, motion is passed. That's the approval of ordinance 26-14B, which is our annual budget. for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2027. Thank you, everyone, for the discussion on that. That will conclude our public hearings. Take us on to item L, unfinished business, none. Move us on down to item M, new business. Item M1, resolution 26-26, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, renewing the management agreement for the CR Community Center for the term beginning July 1, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2029, and authorizing the city manager to execute the appropriate documents. Okay, Heidi, you want to go ahead and give us an overview?
Sure, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is on page 169 of your packet for the resolution. This is something that we historically has come before the council every 5 years. There have been a few smaller changes to this particular memorandum of agreement, and that instead of from 5 years, it's going to an initial 3-year term with a 3-year option to renew. There also was a change in language per the request of the Seldovia Recreational Service Area. And I'm seeing there's still the error where it says this. But there was a request to soften the language for the staffing requirement to, instead of focusing on the person, focusing on the duties. Otherwise, everything else remains fairly standard. They did also soften that while the initial consideration for fee is not to exceed 37,000 for FY27. After that it is as budgeted and appropriated by the assembly. This did go to the assembly, City Clerk Diamond.
It will go before the assembly on July 16th or on June 16th.
That's correct. So it goes at their next meeting. Thank you.
And they will correct them.
But they're waiting to hear, they wanted to hear that Seldovia approves of this contract before the assembly approves of it. And it just maintains that relationship that we have with the CIRSA and the SOC at this point. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and take it over to council for discussion. Anyone like to comment or have questions on resolution 26-26?
I had a chance to look it over. I think it looks good. I do like the fact that they have the word softened, the duties of the position, so the person can kind of float through and do the duties instead of like the title of the job. I think that makes sense, and it kind of eases up that for the employee.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else comments on resolution
I have a
26?
question. I don't understand what, when in the wording on focusing more on the job or the person applying for the job. Is that what you're saying?
Not exactly. So if you, through the mayor, if you look at page, you can see the strikeouts on. It is page 183. The top paragraph, last sentence. So before it said Seldovia will employ a facility coordinator, community recreation assistant, and janitor for this purpose. So now we're saying Seldovia will employ personnel to provide facility coordination, community recreation, and custodial services for this purpose.
Oh,
So instead of individual positions, we're saying we're going to provide the people to do that work. Still provide the duties, but not the individual positions.
More hats to wear.
Well, that's what they're already doing.
oh, right.
They're gonna do more now.
I get paid less, do more. Okay. Okay, thanks for clearing that up.
Okay, anyone else comments on resolution 26-26? Okay, do we have anyone from public, Liz, that wanted to weigh in?
I am not seeing any hands, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we'll go ahead and bring resolution 26-26 back to council. Quick question. Let's see. Harmony, you're still employed by the SOC, correct?
Yes, sir. I would like to abstain from this vote, if you please.
Okay,
Happy to do the duties as described.
okay. No, sounds good. Harmony's declared a conflict and I rule that as appropriate. So she will abstain from the vote. All right, we'll go ahead and look for final action on resolution 26-26, and we'll look for a motion to approve resolution 26-26.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
I'm trying to
Okay.
talk about water, a block
Oh,
my
sorry.
throat. Sorry.
We have a motion by Taylor
26.
to approve resolution 26-26 with a second by Coleman. Any further discussion on the resolution before we vote? Okay, we'll go ahead and vote on the approval of resolution 26-26. All those in favor, Keithley,
Aye.
Langbart,
Aye.
Coleman,
Aye.
Taylor,
Aye.
and Barber.
Aye.
All right, motion passes 5 in the affirmative and 1 abstention due to conflict. Okay, that'll take us down to item M2, resolution 26-29, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, authorizing submission of a building resilient infrastructure and communities BRIC grant program application and committing local match funding for the Seldovia Upper Dam Rehabilitation Project. This will be found on page 194 of your packet, and we'll have the city manager give us a brief overview.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this one's a little tricky because if you see it, there's a few blanks. And unfortunately, I thought I was going to have some answers before this meeting, but now I'm being told that they will come in on Wednesday or Thursday at the latest. This grant is due on June 15th. And it's an interesting opportunity because it is pass-through funds to the state. If you are over the $2 million mark, it goes nationally, and it becomes nationally competitive. However, we are anticipating that this one will be under the 2 million for the brick portion of the funding. But exceeding that with the local match. There is a 25% local match. And so I would ask that if this is something council wants to consider, I'll have some language to put in on the whereas for lines 30 to 32 and section 2 at the end. But what this project is doing is applying for, or what this application is doing is applying for funding for the dam. And there has not to date been any other opportunities that we've found. There's very little opportunities for funding for this infrastructure. We have a lot of momentum moving forward with this grant that is really kind of cool. We have a letter of support from the Deputy Commissioner of DOT, a letter of support from the Alaska Dam Safety Program through DNR, letter of support from Kenai Peninsula Borough Mayor Machicki, as this grant relies on our hazard mitigation plan, which was last year passed in conjunction with the Kenai Peninsula Borough. The issue is that 25% match is steep, and if we went to our maximum for the project, it would be a total project of $2,666,665.
with a $666,666 match. I don't anticipate that it's going to be that high right now. Our estimate's at 2,016,000. And that is something that we've done that AML has done as part of this project. They've been writing the grant for it, or helping write the grant for it. What we're waiting on to have a better number is that we also have that overview project happening through Village Safe Water. And they're almost at the 65% preliminary engineering design, which includes cost estimates. And that was supposed to be done at the end of last month, and it's been delayed. And I definitely email and call them every day. Poor firm. But they have assured me this morning that it will be here by Wednesday or Thursday. And then we'll be able to utilize those numbers just to make sure that our numbers mesh and gel. I realize that this is a significant ask because we are asking for approximately $500,000 in local match. Can we scrounge that up and find it? Yes. Do I think the city should do that? No. But we do have to have a letter of a commitment for that. And then my request would be that we seek other funding opportunities for that match, if this is approved, or even while we're going through the process. Like I said, there is a lot of support for it, even in speaking with the Department of Homeland Security, who this grant is going through. They were excited to see a smaller project that would not be nationally competitive come through, and that this really met. We weren't sure at first, but when we got talking, this really met all of the criteria that they were looking for. We have a very competitive benefit cost analysis. Like I said, all the support so far, green lighting it, but that additional funding source will be an issue that I'm prepared to help hopefully work through if you guys want to support this. If not, I understand. And as I've shown in the memo that goes with this, and as you guys may be aware, from the capital improvement plan, we've had 2 recent periodic safety inspections. This is considered a class 2 hazard level dam, and it's in poor condition. The project itself includes a environmental review, permitting, engineering, a dam break analysis, a 100-year flood analysis, spillway improvements, concrete repairs, installation of a new liner, dredging, and other related improvements. It was fascinating to be on the phone call with the engineers last week and the week before and hear them talk about, while these repairs are all minor on their own, when they come together, it's a much more substantial project, to the point where we're looking at, if our spalling continues to deteriorate in 5 to 10 years, there's the potential that we wouldn't be able to safely navigate across the top of the dam and operate our valves. They were looking at the fact that we dredged in the 90s, which was about 40 years after the dam was put in. And now we're at, again, another 40 years. And so looking at the capacity level at the dam, and if we continue to not dredge and make those improvements, or let the liner go and let the seepage continue around and under the dam, not only deteriorating the structural integrity, but also lessening what we can hold in that reservoir, could have a significant impact in the community. And then we were able to look at some of those drought figures to really show what that means. Our dam holds up between 28 and 32 days worth of water in it at any time in that reservoir. And, just over a couple spans of a couple weeks, we dropped down just at the low point to 12 days of water, which is
Recently?
in 2019.
Oh, okay.
So not saying that's gonna happen again, that it's been a very eye-opening project. And of course, this is a lot of it's based on speculation, and that dam could be great for another 10, 15, 20 years. It's my thought that it would be better off, we'd be better off if we could take care of it sooner than later, because as we heard from all of the engineers from both firms, if you let it continue to sit, it's just going to get more expensive. The one firm that did the PSI said they saw a project recently where they let the project similar to ours sit for 5 years and the cost doubled to make those repairs. So I leave that up to council because I know that it's a big ask and a big request, and I am here to answer any questions that you guys may have.
So by passing this today, we're committing to $500,000 if this grant goes through. Is that what you're saying?
You're committing to a 25% match. I would ask in the whereas on line 30 through 32 that you would put in language, the estimated total project is not to exceed $2,666,665. With a required local non-federal match not to exceed $666,666. And then also on that line, the section 2, again, that the city of Seldovia commits a local non-federal match. And it says up to, but it should say not to exceed. And if you guys receive it and there isn't a funding source, you do not have to take it. I mean, that's also, that'd be a hard conversation to have, but that is always an option. You can
But
say.
did you earlier say when you were reading this that you had ideas of where to get the funding?
Yes. If you see the whereas starting on line 36, it says the city will continue to pursue additional non-federal matching funding opportunities, including but not limited to the state of Alaska designated legislative grant requests, the Alaska State Revolving Fund Program, which has been very helpful in recent years, and the Denali Commission, as well as other eligible funding partners. But if now is not the time, I get it. It's up to you guys. I know that there's a risk there. Happy to hear you guys' feedback.
Sounds like there's a risk if we don't, if we do or we don't.
I know, I'm with Jackie on this one. I really feel that like, it's not like it's gonna get any better. You know, if we wait, it's just gonna be more expensive. And who has a house here that they have the same sort of situation? You know, it's like, well, you know, it's expensive to fix that roof or whatever, but if we don't, it's just gonna get worse. And this is our dam. This is our water supply. I mean, I don't like those numbers. Those numbers are scary, but at the same time, if the work needs to be done, the work needs to be done.
$500,000 is a lot of money
It's scary.
for a small city.
Yeah, I think it's like anything. We just need, I mean, these opportunities aren't going to come along very often to find the main source of funding. And then obviously if we did come up with, manage to get selected, then we would have the opportunity. Heidi, what is the typical turnaround time on this type of grant?
Through the mayor, so I would need to clarify that. The interesting thing about this is because we would be under the $2 million, we're not nationally competitive and it's just a pass through the state. But I'll double check on timeline. It means that we're more likely in the running, especially if there's only one project, and that's us.
And then if you get selected, how long do you have to commit either? I mean, how long would we have to come up with the match funding? Would that have to be relatively quick?
I believe if I remember correctly, this was on a 5-year
cycle. But let me double check on that number. I'm sorry, I didn't write that down.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely think it's worth pursuing. Again, the opportunities for dam funding, and we've talked about this a number of times for years and years, is, they're super limited to options for fixing up the dam. We have to, we can't keep kicking the can down the road. At some point, if we had a catastrophic failure, then we've got a way bigger problems than that. So I would definitely be in support of moving forward with 26-29 and getting the ball rolling on that. And then obviously looking to start pursuing match funding through all other available avenues. Anyone else with comments on resolution 26-29? Okay, Liz, anyone online from the public tonight that wishes to weigh in on resolution 26-29?
I am not seeing any hands, Mr. Mayor.
Okay,
Harmony has her hand up. She must have gotten.
she
off
actually just
here.
looks like we lost her.
And Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yep.
So I was able to verify that this funding process is a 6 to 9 month process. So typically wouldn't be funded until fall of 2027 if awarded. And then it is a 36-month period of performance. So that is quicker than 5 years. I still think it's probably worth a shot. But definitely we should keep in mind that it is a 36-month turnaround.
Okay. Harmony, did you have Liz thought your hand might have been up there. Did you have any questions on resolution 26-29?
Yeah, I got kicked off, so I wasn't sure if I was showing back up as a panelist. I was kind of rushing through sign in. But I'm in favor of it. I remember 2018, I remember our businesses getting shut down midsummer, big money being turned away from our community. That hurt not only the local businesses, but the people and parents and employees who rely on those summer monies to make money in this community. That was 2019 was dramatic, and we were really fortunate not to have wildfires here in Seldovia that year, but our forest has not recovered. And if we were to have another year like that, the probability of us having wildfire problems has gone up exponentially just because of the damage that was done to the ecology around here after that drought. I don't know how many of you actually care about that component of the conversation, but I'm just saying that I'm in favor of going out for this money. We have an incredibly successful team, and I have faith in their ability to make this happen in a good way for us. Thanks, Heidi, for pursuing this.
Okay, thank you, Harmony.
And team, Heidi, Liz, Jan, Diane, everybody, you guys are great. Sorry that I don't always say all the names, but you guys are wonderful.
Okay, anyone else with any comments on our questions on resolution 26-29? Okay, we didn't have anyone from the public, correct, Liz?
That is correct, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so we'll bring resolution 26-29 back to council, and we will look for a motion.
I make a motion.
Support 26-29.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion from Barber to approve resolution 26-29 with a second by Langbart. Any further discussion on the resolution before we vote?
Mr.
Okay,
Mayor, can I
Yep.
request that the line 30, whereas be, that the estimated total project cost is not to exceed $2,666,665. And with a required local non-federal match not to exceed $666,666. As well as at section 2, we strike out of up to, and it says the city of Seldovia commits a local non-federal match not to exceed $666,666.
Agreed. Administrative
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
catch up. All right.
666, huh?
Lots of sixes in there. All right, so we had a motion by Barber, second by Langbart. Any additional discussion on resolution 26-29 before we vote? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the approval of resolution 26-29. All those in favor, Keith Lee,
Aye.
Langbart,
Aye.
Coleman,
Aye.
Taylor,
Aye.
Payton,
Aye.
and Barber.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 6 in the affirmative, none opposed. All right, almost there, guys. Take us to item M3, resolution 26-30, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, awarding a contract for the design build services of the Jackaloff Dock replacement project. Let's see here. It's blank right now, but I can obviously read that.
Mr. Mayor, it's in the laydown.
Yep, I've got it right here. That's what I was just pulling up here. Contract for the design build services of the Jackaloff Bay Dock replacement project to Connect Construction in the amount of $3,125,000 and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute the appropriate documents. And this is on page 197 of the packet and in the laydown on page 9. Okay, Heidi, go ahead if you've got some additional information you'd like to add.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So you will find an amended version of the resolution on page 9. It's amended again because things are always just going a little over budget. So in line 42, I'm requesting that it state now therefore it be resolved that the city of Seldovia hereby awards a contract in the amount not to exceed $3,125,000. That's because if you look at the memo on page Oh. Oh, yeah, it's there. On the following page, page 11 of the laydown. In the last paragraph, it does talk about the total project funding from all sources being 3.4 or $3,480,000. And that we have awarded $411,000 about to Moffett Nickel for the pre-award and construction owner representative activities, bringing the total project budget to a deficit of $55,922, which doesn't sound large in comparison of this project, but of course is not money that we just have hanging around. So with this approval, if approved tonight, this will give me the option to go forward to Connect Construction and discuss the budget and work on bringing that down. There's some great options. Moffett Nichols already provided some solutions. And speaking with the mayor, we talked about maybe some value engineering, certainly some things that we can do, but not wanting to exceed, and that's kind of scary because that there's contingency involved, but I don't have a full breakdown of their budget, just of the individual parts, or the individual parts of the job, but not the full breakdown of what those is included in those parts. So curious and excited to get into a discussion with them and just see how we can make this work for us without exceeding our limits, and certainly not any more than this.
All right, thank you, Heidi. All right, moving on to council. Exciting time. We finally have responsive bid that's seems certainly within range of our of the funds that we have available to do the project. So interested to hear questions, comments from council on resolution 26-30.
How many people bid on this job? How many?
Through the mayor, so we had two bids that made it through made it to the qualifying round, and only one that made it out of the qualifying round.
Was there an engineer's estimate on the job?
There was, and this is about 500,000 more than that estimate, but
So
that
there-
estimate was also from 2.5 years ago.
And where's Connect Construction from?
So Connect Construction used to be, or they have joined with Harris Sand and Gravel, who worked previously on the job on the harbor. And they had a few other jobs that we're familiar with. Layla was familiar with their team. Interestingly, also have Linden, they're a part of the Linden family, so they have Linden Transport backing them up.
So they're from Kenai Peninsula. Kenai.
They're, I would double check.
The
I
name
think they
sounds
were out of,
really familiar.
the business itself, I think was out of Anchorage. I'll double check on that one. I can't remember off the top of my head. But they've been around for a while. And it was a team that we were familiar with, especially Layla was familiar with from the previous job. They had good reviews. We did follow up and ask a few questions about their experience with a federal grant. And because they had stated in their proposal that they had experience, but didn't really clarify what that was. And they provided an excellent response back. We were told by another entity, another engineering firm, that they believe that one of the reasons why we probably only received one bid is because Knick is known for coming in under a lot of other firms. And they have a reputation of being low. And so that sometimes puts other competitors off from wanting to bid because they don't believe they're going to beat them. So I don't know if that's true or not. But
How did you advertise this bid?
thank you. So this was advertised through the Peninsula Clarion, the Homer News, Juneau Empire, the Plans Room, on our website. And then also was sent out to known engineering firms that do this kind of work.
Wow, and two people responded.
Mhm.
But 500,000 is quite a difference between the engineer's estimate on the project.
Yeah.
But
The
not,
biggest-
not from 2.5 years ago. It's not.
No, it's like probably. Well,
The most things came pretty on par. The thing that was the biggest difference was the actual manufacturing and installation. DMOB actually came under. The marine observation was very similar. It was pretty close. That difference is purely mainly just in the actual manufacturing and installation. But like I said, I don't have a full breakdown of why that is. So I'm looking forward to hopefully having that discussion.
how long, if they give you an estimate of how long
Oh,
to
excellent
have the
question.
job done?
Excellent question through the mayor. So we knew it would take a little while for float manufacturing. But I may be naive and wrong, but I was still very pleasantly surprised to see that they had a anticipated installation date beginning the end of February 2027, being wrapped up by April 2027. Wow. So that hopefully we would have a dock by next summer.
Okay.
And I should share that the float that, yes, it came over, that float installation was their sorry, what is the word I'm looking at? Their subcontract for that is through Transpac.
Okay, any additional questions, comments on resolution 26-30? Okay, I will definitely be in support of resolution 26-30. Yeah, I think it's an exciting time. All of our years of discussion and process have finally come to fruition here, and this is kind of the last piece of this. So looking forward to getting this awarded and the manager being able to work with the awarded firm to get things rolling and get the process started so we can have a new dock in place by next summer. That'd be great. All right, anyone online, Liz, that wants to cares to comment on resolution 26-30?
I'm not seeing any, Mr. Mayor, but Councilmember Page, it looks like she had dropped off again, so.
Okay. So we having a few internet problems here tonight. There she is, she's back. All right, we'll go ahead and bring resolution 26-30 back to council for final action. And we'll look for a motion of approval.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 26-30.
I'll second 26-30.
Okay, we have approval we have a motion to approve resolution 26-30 by Taylor with a second by Coleman. Any further discussion on the resolution before we vote? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the approval of resolution 26-30. All those in favor, Keithley,
Aye.
Langbart,
Aye.
Coleman,
Aye.
Taylor,
Aye.
Peyton,
Hi.
and Barber.
Right.
Okay, motion passes with 6 in the affirmative, none opposed. All right, Heidi, you're cleared to start negotiations.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, that's going to take us to our last item that was in our consent agenda. That's resolution 26-28. So this is now going to be item M4. And this is resolution 26-28, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, adopting the amended intergovernmental agreement with the Alaska Remote Sellers Sales Tax Commission, opting out of requiring marketplace collection and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute the appropriate documents. All right, Heidi, what changes do we need to make here?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I apologize. A lot of amendments this evening. In the last whereas on page 20, it states that the KPB Assembly adopted ordinance 2624 at their June 2nd meeting. They had a discussion on it there, but they're actually not planning to adopt until June 16th. So with like an amendment that says at their June 16th, 2026 meeting, the KPB Assembly will adopt ordinance 2624, and then crossing out on line 33 or starting line 33 and found that it is in the best interest of the KPB, and just having it simply go and opt out of the proposed code changes related to businesses that have physical presence in KPB, and retain KPB's authority. Everything else remains the same. So taking out that one line and then putting in that it'll be their June 16th meeting. I would have asked for this whole resolution to be pulled and to wait until after they've adopted their resolution or their ordinance. However, in the interest of the council, we are trying to not hold a meeting at the end of June. So this is a little bit of the cart before the horse. I don't have any indicators that they won't pass this. You can see in the packet, I did provide a memo but also that there is that ordinance from the borough and a memo from the borough from when they discussed it last. And really what it's saying, like we talked about previously, the difference between a physical business and a remote seller. The marketplace has opened it up that now businesses that have both, like for instance, Walmart, that was a bad example that I said earlier. Walmart has a physical business, but they also do remote sales. The marketplace could collect, and the marketplace, I mean the Alaska Remote Sellers Sales Tax Commission, could collect for both, right? So they're going to collect the physical sales tax and the online sales tax. Right now, the business just pays the Kenai Peninsula Borough for us. So while we have our sales tax jurisdiction authority, the Kenai Peninsula Borough collects for us. Not everywhere in the state has that opportunity. So I'm sure this is a great opportunity for those that don't have that. But we do. And the nice thing about having the borough retain that authority is that they don't charge us. And so if we went to the model where the marketplace the marketplace collection was through the ARSSTC, we would have fees that go along with it, just like we do for our online sales tax. So we still need to adopt the amendments to their code, to the agreement. And we're also required to opt out, or else according to their amendment, we're automatically in. Like I said, I know that the Kenai Peninsula Borough is planning on opting out and continuing to collect for themselves. Homer is planning on opting out. I haven't heard from the other municipalities in our area, but I'm not really sure why they would request or why they would opt in for this type of collection when we already receive that service here locally. So that's what we're requesting. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll take it over to council. Any questions, comments on resolution 26-28?
I have a comment or maybe a question too. So you said that non-physical entities, businesses in our state are the ones targeted or paying it. But did you know Amazon has a warehouse in Anchorage now? And does that affect Anchorage and the people and this tax?
Through the mayor. Interesting question. So Amazon actually was considered a physical, or some of their sales were considered a physical business because they sold textbooks in the peninsula. They have since stopped their physical sales of textbooks in the area and are considered fully remote. So they would be considered. They would be through the ARSS TC there. And that was, yeah, that was a screwy situation. But I can see those quarterly reports and who's coming through the Kenai Peninsula Borough. And it is fascinating to see which businesses come through as a physical presence versus an online, and vice versa. But this way here, it just would stay status quo is what we're opting for.
Okay, anyone else? Additional questions, comments on resolution 26-28? Heidi, would there be an objection to just doing an administrative, since this was since this was let's see here, ordinance introduction, resolutions, okay. Since this is a resolution, and do you need a separate motion with that amendment since it's more of an administrative change?
I will defer to the city clerk on her preference for that.
I would appreciate the motion.
I figured you might. Okay, so let's just real quick. So it's on line 31. Instead of June 2nd, it's going to be June 16th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what was the other change?
On line 31, it would read the assembly will adopt ordinance 2026-24. And then language would be struck on lines 33 and 34 and found that it is in the best interest of the KPB. That language would be removed.
And Mr. Mayor, can I ask for one more change? I'm sorry. Instead of adopt, maybe it should say will consider, because we don't want to put the cart too far ahead of the horse. So KPB assembly will consider ordinance.
Okay. Well, one of you guys probably needs to either jot that down or you're going to have to repeat that when someone on council offers to make the amendment,
I wrote it down, but
because this one's a little messy.
I apologize, Mr. Mayor. And yes, we both have it written down.
No worries.
So I could ask for the motion to be passed and then defer to you to read it as it is, or, okay. Need that number again, hold on.
Let's see. So did we, okay.
M4 was M4.
Yep, item M4.
26.
We already go to public on this one. We did, didn't we?
Oh, sorry.
Hi, dear
Yeah.
Liz. Do you recall?
We did not.
We did not. Okay. Yeah, our conversation is going back and forth. Okay. Is there anyone from the public online or in-house that wishes to comment on ordinance or on, excuse me, resolution 26-28?
I am not seeing any, Mr. Mayor.
All right. So let's bring that back to council. And then we would look for a motion to offer an amendment to clean this language up.
Okay, so I'd like to offer an amendment to clean the language up of resolution 26-28. So it would then read,
That at their June 16th meeting, the KPB Assembly will consider ordinance 26-24 and cross out found that it is in the best interest of KPB 2.
I'll second that.
Okay. So we have a motion by Coleman to amend the language as was stated by the city manager, second by Langvart. Any further discussion on the amendment before we vote? Hearing none. We will vote on the amendment that was offered for resolution 26-28. All those in favor, Keithley,
Aye.
Langvart,
Aye.
Coleman,
I,
Taylor,
Aye.
Peyton,
Aye.
and Barber.
Aye.
Okay, amendment is passed with a vote of 6 in favor and none opposed. That'll take us to the main motion for item M4, which is resolution 26-28, which has now been amended. Any further discussion on the motion as amended? Okay, with that, then we'd go ahead and look for a motion to approve resolution 26-28 as amended.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve 26-28 as amended.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve resolution 26-28 as amended by Langvart with a second by Taylor. Any further discussion on resolution 26-28 as amended? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the approval. All those in favor, Keithley,
Aye.
Langbart,
Aye.
Coleman,
Aye.
Taylor,
Aye.
Peyton,
Aye.
and Barber.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. So resolution 26-28 as amended is passed with 6 in the affirmative, none opposed. All right, that takes care of all of our legislation for tonight, and that will take us to the city manager's report, which is in your laydown,
Thank you, Mr. Bay.
page
Yes.
13.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for bearing with us. I am hoping if it is the desire of the city council with all of that pertinent business taken care of this evening, that we can potentially cancel the next June meeting, if that is your guys' wish and nothing more pertinent comes up. And maybe even potentially the first meeting in July, again, as long as no pertinent business comes up. So if you guys want, there is business that can be taken care of. The planning commission did recommend that we move forward with the scope of work outlined from the Alaska Municipal League for the comprehensive zoning review. So we could discuss that, and I'm sure there'll be other minor things that come up. If you guys would like to keep to your schedule and still hold a meeting. But if you, in the interest, hopefully in your guys' best interest, if you want to have a reprieve, this might be a good time. So please let me know if that doesn't work out for you.
Is there
And
any objections to not having either one of those meetings?
Full support.
Okay, I am in favor. It's summertime, everybody's got a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, Heidi, if something does come up, let us know and we can reconvene. But yeah, unless there's overwhelming support to keep those 2 meetings, then I think we would like to go ahead and cancel those 2.
got it, Mr. Mayor. We will proceed with that unless something comes up that needs to happen before the last meeting in July. Okay, on that note, to give you a nice report here, Jack Loft Bay Dock is approved. So that's amazing. The construction contract. Thank you guys for that. We will proceed with negotiations. Raw water transmission line replacement project is at its substantial completion date. We're scheduled for a walkthrough this week and making our list of any outstanding items, but so far so good. It's been a really smooth and great project to see go forward. The fuel facility improvements project, we did schematics for a reinforcement concept, and then we should also be receiving calculations for that reinforcement later on this week and discussing alternatives because it does look like cost-wise, it would be more effective to replace the whole building. Councilmember Barber. Main Street, Seldovia Stormwater Infrastructure Improvement Project, with the Aqua Work Plan, we're still going back and forth with the amendments to focus more on Main Street South, while still trying to tidy up Main Street North as much as possible, but knowing that DOT needs to have a bigger say in that project. And looking pretty good. I think those will probably close out this week. Seldovia stormwater infrastructure improvements for Frank Baby and Vista. Supplies, I was mistaken. I thought they were supposed to be ordered next fiscal year. There's this fiscal year. So I've got a quote for them and we're just working on making sure that we have the budget for that in this project. Jan is away traveling right now. So on some PTO, but still working short time on a few of these projects. So she's working with with me on that now. That'll mean ordering the new culverts and inlet and a manhole for over on Frank Raby. And then our crew would complete the work this fall. So looking forward to taking care of some of those key areas where we know there's a lot of groundwater and stormwater flowing through the community.
It's the city office and maintenance shop project closes at the end of this month. Windows are being boxed and will be here on the next ferry. Doors, SPS was finalizing that quote and getting it here. Heat registers and thermostats are in process. So hoping to be able to finish out and complete that project in a timely manner. It's been kind of difficult to get those last few things buttoned up, but it seems like they are coming through here at the end. For item 13, the Seldovia Volunteer Fire and EMS Emergency Radio Upgrade application, we applied last year for this project to the Assistance to Firefighters grant. We did not receive it. However, we received comments back. Seemed like there was just a small language issue with us requesting improved or replacement. We were requesting replacement and not improvements. And for some reason that made it sound like we already had them, what we needed, and we were just trying to get new ones. So now making sure that we're asking to have improved communications, not replacing communications. Hopefully that language change helps.
Upgrade report.
Yeah, something. It's but that closes on June 22nd. And again, Finance Officer Jan Yeager is working on that even while she's away. For 14, I am sad to say that we did not receive the hydrology and wetlands assessment through the National Coastal Resilience Fund. We weren't even invited to the full application because they had so many projects that people applied for. But the team, the same team, this is through with KB NER and UAA and the University of Southeast Florida. And they're still very interested in completing this project for the city. And there's another opportunity called the Water Smart Grant opportunity that closes mid-July. It looks like it'll be a good fit. And we're getting to be old hats where we can just shift gears with the same information and hopefully make it applicable for that. So looking forward to working with it on them. USF is actually here and they were thinking about trying to catch a ride over and doing a visit, but sounds like Kisitna Bay Lab is super busy right now. And there is a lot happening in the community with different entities coming to visit for other projects. So we'll see how that goes. But regardless, we remain in contact and are working towards that other grant opportunity. I will jump ahead and say on number 19, even though that was sad that we didn't receive the hydrology and wetlands assessment, we did receive the supporting USDA Natural Resources Conservation for the Fish Creek Assessment Project. If you remember, we have matching funds already through Trout Unlimited. They received $240,000 for the engineering and design for the project. We're receiving $913,000 from the Denali Commission. And this is a 3-phase project. It does include the dam. It's supposed to include a position and a half-time position and initial conservation efforts for some properties in the community, but I need to double check on that figure because I don't think that was the full ask. I think that it might be part of the project. So I'm going to look into that. We're supposed to have a kickoff meeting later on this month, and I'll let you know how that goes. Our ATS cybersecurity project was completed last month. We're just waiting for ACS to come over and help do some physical transfers from the city office building to the MPB building so that we can consolidate all our phone lines and our DSL line and save some dollars. So that's really exciting. It's been, I think, super successful so far. I haven't really heard too many negative things. Most employees seem pretty pleased that we're on the same network. On item 22, we already talked about the dam improvement project, so I'll skip that from now. The historic boardwalk improvement project was submitted through a Safe Streets action plan. program. And it included the historic boardwalk improvements, a demonstration project for the harbor waterfront, which is kind of cool. And I hope I have your guys' support because we slipped it in there. But I had a great talk with a citizen who asked me to meet them at the harbor and talked about the walkability of Seldovia, and that we already have this natural path that happens between the harbor and the Gateway Pavilion. But it's a little rough. And so could we smooth it out a little bit? Could we make it more ADA accessible? Could we make it look more like an actual attractive path? And we were right in the middle of working on this grant application and kind of talking it through, and the light bulb goes off and you're thinking about ways to improve that area. This grant is really key for demonstration projects where you can show, do like a minor part of a project and overall show the effectiveness. So it came to my mind, and I spoke with our grant writer about it, and she absolutely agreed and was on board that instead of trying to do the full harbor waterfront, because we had already taken that out because of cost, and that this one also has a 25% match, that we could instead put in a demonstration project with some aluminum or some kind of steel or manufactured boardwalks that can sit across where we snow push. And then so we can remove them in the winter, put them back down in the summer. That'd be mainly between the kiosks and the Gateway Pavilion, and then the other side of the kiosks, especially if the council's going to look at potentially putting some money forward to make those kiosks nicer, do a big platform out behind them, have the boardwalks connect to that platform, and then carry on. And that platform could go, potentially to the Gateway Pavilion, and then carry on from the other side of the boardwalk, from the other side of the kiosks, have a nice smoothed out walking trail that's ADA accessible, with barriers, posts and rope or whatever it looks like to have some more firm barriers so people aren't parking up in it. And then carrying the trail down in front of the Harbor Masters out to Lollipop Park, and out beside Lollipop Park, back onto the main road, and see what that looks like to try to direct traffic from the road up to the harbor waterfront. It's a small area. I don't know, maybe people won't be interested. But I thought maybe that was a good opportunity to beautify and try it out. Maybe we'll have people who want to walk along that harbor waterfront. We'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that. And then moving on through other project and activity updates, quick pool update. The Kenai Peninsula Borough met last week, and the assembly met last week, and they did pass a resolution to increase the mill rate for the SURSA with the intent to fund the pool. Contract negotiations for the management of that facility are still ongoing. My understanding is that the borough and the district have met, and that's hopefully moving forward here in short order. The smolt bus is scheduled to be here June 11th. We'll do a post for that here tomorrow or the next day, and definitely want to encourage people to come out. We are also making sure that we'll have public safety on board just to help with some traffic control. AML Summer Conference is happening at the end of August. It's in Fairbanks this year. The mayor and myself attended the one in Kodiak last year. I don't know, that was the year before. When was that?
I think it was 2 years ago.
2 years ago. I can't remember where it was last year. Well, this year it's in Fairbanks. So if anybody's interested, let us know. It is more of a manager mayor focus, but elected officials are welcome to attend. They advertise it as an event, the event as an opportunity for Alaska municipal managers, mayors, and elected officials to plan, collaborate, and prioritize for the coming year. They are going to hold a Alaska Defense Forum the couple days right before this event. That's more focused on how where Alaska is positioned in national defense. And so if you're interested in being an event, please, like I said, let us know. At this time, I am not planning attending because I did attend the Northwest Managers Conference. And I have attended the last few, and it does seem like maybe a few of the things are regurgitated, though it is really nice to keep those relationships and continue to network. And I know good things come out of it. So if you want to attend, please let us know and we'll make those arrangements. Spring project and cleanup week seems like that was so long ago. That was fairly successful. If you have any feedback on that, please let us know. The Dock Street main water main repair, the Dock Street water main was repaired. Temporary, we fixed what we needed to be fixed. We do still have a plan on the next ferry run, so in mid-July, of opening up a larger section of that road from like the city office, the corner of the city office building to the main, and insulating and hopefully protecting that pipe a little better. And maybe that can help in the future. We're also looking at some other options to help ensure that we have water available and going in that area. And the fiscal year budget wrap up, just as we discussed, trying to get some of those last minute projects taken care of. The sealant for the water storage tank is here. Crane maintenance, we've talking with Desperate Marine after we had the crane inspection, see if they can come over and do some of the work recommended. We're still waiting on a BHO electric quote. We went out to quite a few firms and had a lot of no responses on that one. So, but still trying to make some headway on it. Harbor siding is ordered and on the way. The water meter pilot project is unfortunately delayed. There were some parts that we need. We're still working on a parts list based on where they'll be installed. So it's it's continuing to move, but very slowly with everything else that's been going on. I believe you've had the water treatment plant and distribution update. We continue to look for leaks. The CCR is being wrapped up, and that will go out with this next billing. And hydrant flushing will wait until the fall because we were waiting for the raw water transmission line project. The WebCoos camera was installed, and we looked at the views today. There was an issue with the noise, the sound that was coming from the camera when it moved. I think that's been resolved, so it should be online and available. And then later this week, and we'll announce when that's up. It's pretty cool because you can see a pretty wide view across the bay, including out to that #1 buoy. So that's pretty cool. Still need a housing needs assessment. Oh, I have Susan B. English in here twice. That shouldn't be. And everything else, I think you guys are aware of. Oh, last thing I will say is Seldovia Planning Commission update. Oh, I did say this already, that they met and that they are recommending that we move forward with the comprehensive zoning review support from the Alaska Municipal League. So they provided a great scope of work, and we'll bring that forward in a resolution format for the city council to approve in an upcoming meeting in July. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Awesome. Thank you, Heidi. Appreciate that. Anyone have any questions on the manager's report tonight? Okay. That will take us to item N, informational items not requiring action, none on the list. Item P, executive session, none tonight. Item Q, council and mayor comments concerning items not on the agenda. Start off with Keith Lee.
Nothing?
Okay, Langbart,
No comment tonight. Thank you.
Coleman,
No comment tonight.
Taylor,
Nothing tonight.
Peyton,
Nothing tonight. Thanks, guys.
okay, and Barber.
No comment.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just chime in. Obviously, we didn't say anything at the beginning of the meeting. Everyone knows that we lost a very prominent member of our community. And Jim Hopkins was sad. It's been a sad couple last week here. It had a lot of family in town, and obviously our condolences go out to the entire Hopkins family, Linda, and all the kids and grandkids and everyone. So Jim's definitely going to be missed. He did a lot for our community and did a lot for the city, a lot for the residents, and so I think most people here got a chance to attend the celebration of life last Saturday. It was an incredible turnout, hundreds of people out there, beautiful day. So it's nice to see everyone out there. So yeah, so there's obviously going to be a lot of things going forward that we'll have to talk about. Jim did a lot. He offered a lot to the city and the community, and we'll have to get some alternative plans in place to cover some of those gaps. So I'm sure there'll be a lot more to come here as we move through the summer, and Linda and family figures out what they want to do with their business and how that's gonna if it'll continue on or whatever the plan is. So, but more to come, I'm sure on that as we move forward. So, but that's all I've got tonight. Thanks everyone for coming. Obviously, if we cancel the next two meetings as discussed, that would put us the next one, July 20th. Is that correct, Heidi or Liz?
Would be July 27th.
Oh, okay. July 27th. Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. All right. So that'll be our next planned meeting is July 27th. And then I'll go ahead and look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a second?
Oh, second that.
Okay. Any objection? All right. Hearing none, we will be adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr.
All
Mayor.
right. Have a good evening, you guys.